It's connecting. All right. All right, Kim, I think we're live.
All right.
We are live on my Maxine Drake Consulting page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you in 2 seconds. But
Okay.
what I want to do first is go ahead and share in the groups. And if people hop on, let's just kind of ask where you're from and where everybody is right now.
Guys, as you're coming in, just give us a shout out. Where in the world are you? And I'll share a little bit about where I'm at. And Maxine, where are you at today?
Today I'm in my Tampa house.
Okay, so funny. Actually, I'm from Tampa, Florida too. And the weird part is, I don't know. I've never been. We've never been to each other's homes, but we live in the same place. Like we live in Tampa. We should like get together more frequently, I think. But it is a beautiful day here today. It's nice and sunny and uber hot. Like it's been super hot. Typical, I guess, June weather. It almost feels like it's July weather though, because it's like pushing pushing 100 degrees. It's been so hot. Our air conditioners have been like on overdrive. We actually just had them serviced because, well, that just wasn't keeping the house cool enough. So where in the world are y'all? What's the weather like where you are?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's so true. We had like such a beautiful like fall, and even the very spring was amazing here.
Yeah, it was
And
beautiful. And then I actually, I tell people that that's one of the reasons I love Tampa or Florida is because like probably like October to May is like amazing. It's like the best, perfect weather. And then, especially the winter months up north, everybody's like, yeah, I just want it's snowing here and I just want to come south. And I'm like, come on. But
come
then
on over.
yeah, those few months in the summer, though, I have to say it is a little unbearable because it gets so muggy and, uber hot.
It is. And I'll be heading to Hawaii. So I'll miss out for a little bit, but then I'll be back for the summit. And
Yeah.
I'm just sharing in our Beauty Business Summit event. And then we will be good to go.
All right.
And I'll introduce you. I'm so excited for people to get to know you.
Well, I'm excited to get to know them. I think that's the best part about events is the people. I love connecting with new people and, being able to help as many people as I possibly can with the knowledge that, the big guys bless me with. So
Absolutely. So welcome. I know we have a few people on. If you can hear us okay, if you could just say, hey, yeah, we can hear you just fine, both Kim and myself. And I am going to introduce Kim right now because I am just so over the moon excited that she's here with us today, and you guys get a chance to pick her brain on anything social media, anything digital marketing, because she is the guru. She is the expert. I like bow down to Kim. But Kim Garst, she has been recognized by Forbes as one of the top 10 social media marketers, influencers, that is. You are an international best-selling author of one of my favorite books, Will the Real You Stand Up? And that's all about authenticity and how to show up. And I just love that. You are an international keynote speaker. You're one of the world's most retweeted people in the world. Like that, when I learned that, I was like, okay, Kim, that's pretty flippin' amazing. But you're really one of the most sought after marketing strategists, which is why we're here today. I mean, estheticians and solopreneurs in our industry mostly struggle in the social media and the digital marketing world. So we want to talk about all about that. We want to talk about what's trending. So welcome, Kim.
Super excited to be here, and thank you for giving me that lovely introduction. Sometimes I listen to my those types of things. I'm like, is that really me? Yeah, I've been truly blessed, and I'm very invested in giving back to as many as I possibly can through that journey. So thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to the event, looking forward to connecting with people today and answering as many questions as we possibly can today.
So yeah, Kim, let's kick it off and let's just talk about what's trending right now in the social media marketing world. Like I know you have the finger on the pulse.
Yeah,
So
I think the common, there's some core things. So messenger bots are still a huge, there's been a lot of people talking about them and how you leverage them and blah, blah, blah. But at the root of it, it's still about those one-on-one conversations, and getting people to a place where, they can have access to answers immediately. When somebody asks a question and you have to wait for, 24 hours before somebody responds. Well, they've forgot they asked you a question, so bots are one of those things I think that really helps us from a customer service standpoint to answer the commonly asked questions, for example, and then funnel people down to a person, at further down the line, or just have those one-on-one conversations if you have the bandwidth to do that. So bots are absolutely huge. YouTube, people like YouTube. Well, YouTube's been around forever. Why is it hot right now? But it is absolutely a hot space. And primarily just because video is so hot right now. I mean, it's not, and I think video is probably going to just continue to escalate from the standpoint of how people are connecting. Even this live video experience that we're having right now well, let me back up for a second. Video has always been impactful. But yet we don't like to do it. Like, I'll be the first to raise my hand and say it's been a huge problem for me, because I always thought it had to be perfect. Everything needed to be, lights, camera, you have to have all the edit it to death and that kind of stuff. And then live video came on the scene, and, that made us as marketers realize that nobody cares about that stuff. They just want the great content. They want to feel like they can get to know you through the experience of video, which, and personally, I think the live video in particular is the fastest path to that know, like, and trust factor. People buy from us when they know, like, and trust us. So video is really impactful. And then I think that the other thing that's really huge, well, there's two other things. Facebook groups is, and again, that's not something that's new, right? It's not the latest and greatest shiny object, but Facebook is saying that they're really going to focus on community going forward, and really going to be promoting that group content. And if you don't know this, Facebook pages are tough these days. I mean, almost no one's seeing the content that we create and share on our pages, which is sad. And so groups are a great way to, build community around a common mission, a common interest, etc. And that content's going to be showing up in their feed, which is a way for us to stay connected, because they're going to see that content show up in their feed and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of value, I think, moving forward, because Facebook's telling us, they told us just at their recent F8 F8 conference that, that's kind of the direction they're headed is Facebook, or is community on the Facebook platform. And then Instagram is probably the hottest social platform right now.
I know. Well, okay, so you gave us a lot to chew on, and I love, we might go into any one of these. And hey, Kimberly, Joy, Amy, Yuki, awesome. I'm so glad you're here. It's really slow on the Facebook side, so for whatever reason, but please go ahead. If a question pops in your head, let's not be shy. Now's the time to just ask the expert and find out, and get your questions answered. But what's so beautiful about our industry, Kim, is that video, because every single one of these girls has, and guys, there are male estheticians, they have a brick and mortar, but they have an opportunity to do before and afters on video. And I mean, there's just such an opportunity for video. Let's just go there in a minute, and then we'll talk about bots. But I love video. And I think that that is just such a missed opportunity as far as, and we get hung up on that perfectionism thing, how we look. And trust me, I wish that video was popular when I was in my 30s, but it wasn't. So here we are now, and it is what it is.
Exactly right.
Yeah. And so we got to just jump on the bandwagon. But let's just talk a little bit more about how they can connect with their people in video and what that can do to help them connect with potential clients in their own community.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I just wanted to make a quick point. 3 of the 4 things that I mentioned as like hot things right now are all related to video. YouTube, Instagram. What was the other thing? Groups, and I forgot anyway, regardless, video is
bots.
Yeah. But messenger bot. But technically, I guess you can use videos and should probably use video and messenger bots too. But Instagram stories and IGTV. Let's talk about IGTV right now, because like just a teeny fraction of people are leveraging the power of IGTV. And I think it's such an amazing opportunity, particularly right now, because Instagram just recently changed their algorithm. So those IGTVs are showing up in the feed. So the chances of people finding you with some good hashtag strategies are just incredible right now. So leveraging those to, again, do those before and afters, or just sharing life. So many times we get wrapped up in, how do we showcase our business instead of just really connecting on a human to human level. And sharing life experiences and sharing the whether it's just your morning coffee routine or whatever it is. I really feel like that's one of the best ways. If you don't worry so much about creating business content out the gate. Share you and your life first, and then you can slowly weave in your business value or showcasing your business. Because usually when it comes to our business, we have to think that out a little bit more. Like life just comes natural. Well, for the most part, but sharing it may not come naturally. So getting into a routine of what can I share today that's life related? What can I share? Is there an opportunity to share a before and after? Is there a behind the scenes opportunity? Because people love to see what's going on in your world, whether it's in life or whether it's in business. Highlighting a customer, there's just so many ways that you can actually leverage the power of video. And it doesn't have to be hard. We have this little thing right now called the phone, and it's uber easy. We just pull it out and, we press a button and voila, you end up with a great video. The quality of the video with our phones these days is amazing. So we have no excuses other than, getting used to and being comfortable with sharing.
Yeah. So for a new esthetician, we did have a question come in, and that was, of course, a lot of estheticians struggle with their own Instagram, and what is a good Instagram strategy to start with as a newbie? If you're brand new to Instagram, just jump right into IGTV.
Well, honestly, I think the very first thing, if you're brand new to Instagram, is consistency. And I think that's true, honestly, for all of us. Having a consistent strategy. If you can share, it's not necessarily that you need to share every day, but I probably would, if you're serious and you really want to grow your presence there and start to connect with people, I would share, content at least once a day. And then, having a good hashtag strategy. Hashtags are so important on Instagram. Taking a peek at what others are doing in your space, who's doing Instagram really well in your space, or maybe it's not another I struggle to say esthetician. Yes, that one. I always struggle. Does anybody else struggle? I don't know why I struggle with that, but anyway, I got to learn how to say that before the event so that I can articulate that But anyway, maybe it's somebody just in the health and wellness space or in the beauty space that's doing something, they're doing really well on Instagram. Scope them out, see what they're doing that seems to be working for them. And hashtags are one of those things that usually you can grab great hashtags from people who are doing it well. Make your own list and, make a couple of lists even. So I do have one quick strategy for you. So whether you're new or whether you are, have been using Instagram for a while, there's a little feature on the iPhone in particular, and it's called text. Hang on just a minute. Let me get it pulled up here so that I'm telling you exactly what it is. It's called text replacement. And you can create little kind of like phrases that are attached to like a string. So I basically copy and paste all of my hashtags and I'll name them H1 or H2 or H3. So meaning I have a hashtag list that's H1, a hashtag list that's H2. And then when I'm on Instagram, all I have to do is type in H1 and it pulls all of my hashtags into the comments. So I don't have to type them in one at a time or remember them or anything like that. And that is like a super duper time saver, golden tip for you. And just going back to, we could talk about Instagram like in depth. In fact, I feel like this is a great space for most. Going back to the question about, IGTV and how you can leverage that. Not very many people are. In fact, I bet you if you started looking around in your space, I bet you wouldn't find hardly anyone that's leveraging IGTV yet. So, there's a golden opportunity there is what I'm saying.
Didn't it start off a little slow? Like a lot of people weren't just jumping on board with IGTV?
Well, as with all things, the new stuff is one of those things where I call them kind of like the pioneers. There's usually pioneers who embrace a platform first. So like when Periscope came along and live video first started, I felt like I was a pioneer in the Periscope space because I jumped all in, even though I was like one of those people who said, yeah, that's not happening. I will never open up my phone and just talk. But what happened was through the experience of doing it, and I realized that there was amazing people on the other side of the screen. So, and it wasn't about me. And my phobias about my hair sticking up, my nose is shiny, or they're all the perfectionist stuff that we worry about when it comes to video. I just let all that go, and it's been an amazing thing. And likewise I think with stories in particular, where it's just in the moment, and you don't have to overthink it, I think is the key to all of this. But there's the pioneers, those people who start with a platform or start with a new feature and they win the biggest. So I really feel like that's where we are. We're still in that pioneer stage. And then you get, more and more people jumping on the bandwagon. And frankly, marketers drive these things. That's certainly the case with live video, almost. And then you get to a place where you've got mass adoption, where there's more and more people leveraging the power of that particular feature. And so my point is that we're definitely in the pioneer phase of IGTV. And the beautiful part about if you create the content for IGTV, you can also use it on, where's that other thing I said that was hot right now? YouTube. So you repurpose this content, you share it, and you can also share it on your Facebook fan pages or in groups if you have them. It's a multi-purposed kind of piece of content. Leverage it in all places.
Yeah, no, we had a good question come in, and this kind of checks with chart with who your followers are. And Laura, thank you so much. She says, I feel like everyone makes money and gets clients on Instagram, but me. How do I convert followers and likes to cashola? Yeah. Which is,
And that's the thing is, people have to know, like, and trust you before they're going to walk in and spend money with you, because you're technically what I would call a brick and mortar locate. Somebody has to physically come to you. It's not like they're going to buy something online. So when you have an online business, what I mean by that is a global, like, where they can just go to a link and buy something. It's a bit of a different beast than when you have a physical location and people have to come in. So that's why it's so important to show up on a human to human level and really start to connect and talk to people, because it's going to take that before you get to a place where people are going to make the decision to come in and spend money with you. Now, people will be very attracted to the stories. So if you're not telling the stories, I highly recommend that you do, because when someone else shares that, you don't always have to share, or somebody else doesn't always have to share the story. You can tell other people's stories. Like if you've had a client that's had amazing results, tell the story,
Right.
One other suggestion, since you physically have them in your hot little hands in that moment, if they do come in and you have them in your possession, so to speak,
Yeah.
ask for a testimonial, a video testimonial on the spot. Like,
Yeah.
let them out of there. I mean, as long as they're okay with giving it. Some people are a little like weird about, they don't want to get on video, but most people will give you a video testimonial. You hold up your phone and you say, hey, will you just share your experience real quick? And boom. I was in a dentist office one time where when I came out, they had Yelp pulled up and asked me to leave a review right there on the spot. And I was like, that is so uber smart, because they had me in the moment. I was happy, like really, I mean, I felt like I'd gotten good service, not like happy I'm like drugged out. But I felt like I had a good experience, and I was more than happy to give them a review. So, take advantage of those opportunities when you have people in your presence. It doesn't hurt. And even circle back to previous customers and say, hey, will you share your story? And look at it from that perspective, because stories are like another thing right now. It's kind of the buzz phrase right now.
Yep.
It used to be authenticity, and now it's the buzz phrase is kind of stories. But stories have been going back to the beginning of time. It's how we've passed on knowledge. And it's how we've learned. And now from a marketing perspective, it's how other people buy. So, if I show up and I say, I went to Sue and she did an amazing job, and this is the reason I loved it, and this is the result I got. Somebody else is going to see that knows me, and they're going to trust that I am telling them the scoop, the good scoop, not like you know what I'm saying? It's like when somebody recommends a restaurant, we listen, right? Because we believe that they've told us, especially if they're a friend. The funny part about it though, online, is we don't even have to know people. It's like you go to Amazon to buy something and you look at the reviews, right? We don't know those people, but we do trust that those people are sharing their true experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just get people to tell the stories. I mean, I promise that alone will shift your business.
Yeah. So we had a good question, another question coming from Allie. Would you recommend paid advertising for a skincare business on social media? Of course. The ads I've seen in the industry always seem to be offering some sort of freebie, and I don't necessarily want to do that. And I don't want you to give away the farm either. It just really depends where you are in your business, in that growth process. But do you have any comments about like ads and targeting?
Yes. I'm a huge fan of Facebook ads. But you're in a space that's hard. So Facebook doesn't allow like a lot of health related products. And so when you say you see a lot of people giving away the free things, that's because they have to lead with that to get past Facebook's filters. More than likely.
Interesting.
But I will say this, most entrepreneurs are not building their list. So if you are not collecting email addresses from those that you serve or prospective people that you serve, you need to start. You need to start. So that said, going back to them giving away things for free, they're probably giving away things for free in exchange for that email address, because that's future money. So when you think of it from the standpoint of you're giving away something for free in exchange for an opportunity to create revenue, wouldn't you do that? You know,
Yeah.
again, not, I'm with you. Don't give away the farm, but what if you gave away something that's totally free, doesn't cost you anything, like knowledge?
Yeah.
You know, knowledge I mean, knowledge is a multiple $1 billion business online. People want to know what you know. You know, even if it's just simple things like, I'm just off the top of my head. I mean, I don't even know if this is a thing, so bear with me. But let's say you know how to make a cucumber mask. Like, somebody's going to want to know how to do that. Like, right? So that's my point, is what can you give away that's free, that's knowledge that people are willing to trade their email addresses for. And once you have those email addresses, now you can consistently connect with them, whether you're giving them additional value or whether you're offering them a coupon or whether you're running a special. You know, 4th of July is coming up. Do you have a special that you can get them to come in and actually physically walk through your door?
That's right too. And I think it's important to make sure those filters are on, because obviously with their solopreneur businesses, they're small businesses, they're targeting a specific demographic within a community.
Right.
So it's not like global. And so you can, you know, set your filters to your
Zip codes.
Yeah.
You can do zip codes. You can target specific. We used to call it, we had an acronym called TOP, which means, if I can remember, trade publications, you know, where we all have trade publications. It doesn't matter what niche we're in, right? We all pay attention to certain things. Occupations. So you can target, you know, specific occupations. If, for example, you know that doctors or doctors' wives come in quite frequently, or I'm just using that as an example. You know your clientele better, but whoever is your, like, you know, you could target by income level, and you can do all of those at the same time. You know, so you can build an audience of people who have common features or common connections or common interests, occupations, zip codes, all of it. And, you know, you can filter all the way down to literally a location.
That's right. Yeah. And Ellie, you know, further added to that, she's like, oh, I was talking about like a free, as in adding like a free brow wax, but I could do a download of like best acne tips for women in their 20s and 30s, like target market. You're using my language. Love it.
Yes.
And I think that's better, because once you grab that email, now you can, you know, invite them in for that free brow wax or something else to get them to come into your doors. But
I've always said, lots of times we focus on the service that we provide instead of really building an offer. So, and there is a difference. So I'll share a quick example. Let's say you sell a supplement that somebody else is selling the exact same supplement on Amazon for, I don't know, $29.97. Let's just use that as an example. How do you compete with somebody like that when you're selling exactly the same thing, but you want to sell yours for $69.97? So you have to create what I call an offer. In other words, how do you package something together that's a multitude of things, and it's not apples to apples anymore. It's apples to, oh my gosh, that's you know, a pomegranate or something, you know, something just super juicy. And the super juicy thing is a combination of things. It might be the supplement. It might be some sort of a educational piece that teaches them how to do, you know, something. It could be an added, like the eyebrow wax, for example, which doesn't cost a lot, doesn't take a lot of time to do, but would add value to, you know, to the package. So creating offers versus like just a standard one-off service will make you more money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I'll be honest, that's how I built my business, was offering free brow waxes, but the traffic was already coming in. This was pre social media.
Right.
So, but once you put your hands on that person, now that's your opportunity to blow them away and just roll out the red carpet and just wow them with unbelievable customer service.
And if they come in the door, the next time they come back, give them $5 off or $10 off, or whatever. I mean, everybody's got their own price points, but what can you feasibly do to keep them coming? Without really eating into your profits. But it's really about the offer, and knowing that. Just as a quick example, and if I'm going to go get my nails done, for example, if I can get, it's why they have those deluxe packages, or they have the super deluxe package. So you get the basic, or you get the mid-range package, or you get the super deluxe package. And what you really want's in that super deluxe package. So that's kind of that's what I call an offer, where it's not just you go get your nails done or your pedicure done. You get the bells and whistles, essentially. And I would say that the majority of those types of, quote unquote offers, most of the time, they probably make way more money and they're usually just a little bit more, doesn't. The key to all of it is keeping it to an expense level that you can still have massive amounts of profit, but make them feel special and give them actually what they really, really want.
Yeah, right. Great advice. Great advice. We had a new question come in from Kathleen, and she's asking, how would you suggest that I grow the retail side of my skincare business through social media? Can you give me an example of storytelling with retail? She's maxed out on how many facials she can do, and would love to find ways to grow her retail business through homeware regimens. That might have been a typo. But so essentially with the solopreneur and with the esthetician, they are trading time for money. So they have this great opportunity to sell retail. Women want to go home with home care. And so how can she market through social media to grow that retail side of her business?
So great question, actually.
Yeah.
It's honestly, this is a core problem for any service-based provider. It doesn't really matter,
Right.
in fact, that's kind of my sweet spot. I love helping because I've been that person, just different niche, but been that person where I was maxed out on time and revenue. I couldn't make any more money because I had no more time. So I'm really passionate about this. So if you hear me, I'm getting animated here.
Go for it.
There's just and it's, again, the limitation really for you is that you're in a physical location, right? So how do you get people to come in just to buy product, and you're saying regional. So just thoughts of, again, I don't know your exact situation, but most of the time when I'm helping a service-based entrepreneur try to figure out how they can expand their revenue and create other revenue streams, part of that is, how do they sell their knowledge? Because we do know stuff. You all know stuff. You have your zones of genius. Is that translatable into courses? Is that translatable into downloadables that they can go do their own thing? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. But if you have physical products, can you do can you put some of those products in a Shopify store so that you can start to actually have an online store, an online location? Now that is, of course, necessitates, shipping or, things of that nature. So can you do that? Can you go there? Now, so that's one avenue. Another avenue is if you just want people to walk through the door, then those offers that I talked about before, that's really going to be critical. You have to package things together to where they're like, that's such a great deal. I'm going to get that. I'm just using this as an example. I'm going to get that like thing that I really want, that eye cream stuff that like just makes my, or no, better one, that eyelash stuff, because I've spent that like $95 on that eyelash stuff. And so I'm going to get that eyelash stuff in this package of stuff. I know it's going to be $298, but I want that eyelash stuff, and they're giving it away if I buy this, So that's my point. You have to package things together and make it irresistible, to get people to walk in the door. Now, that said, how do you get in front of them? Like, it goes back to your email list, people. You got to build your email list, which is going to necessitate doing, asking for them when they come in the door, starting to trade freebies to get it. There's a lot of different strategies around that, but hopefully that gave you a couple of ideas. And again, I don't know exactly what your situation is to whether, the Shopify store is doable, but that's a great opportunity to really sell things outside of just your local environment too.
Absolutely, getting that e-commerce, and we've talked about that in our coaching groups as well. But she was, I think, looking for an example of storytelling with retail. And here's the thing, Kim. So these estheticians, they know their stuff. I'm going to call you out because you guys know your stuff. They're so smart. They know product ingredients. They know how it works in the physiology of the skin. I mean, you know it. So telling a story, but kind of not talking esthetician speak. You want to talk to your target market. You want to use their language as you're describing what a product can do for them and how it's going to change their life and how they can't live. Like Kim just said with the eyelash, was that like eyelash cleaner?
No, it's actually that stuff that's supposed to make your eyelashes grow.
Serum.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Because your lashes are fabulous, by the way. Yeah. So it's, so right there, like what is it going to do for them? How's it going to change their life? That's what they want to know.
And going back to like, if you don't have them telling the story, in other words, just highlight their story. Like, when so-and-so came to me, this was their issue. And I recommended this product and they used it for blah, blah, blah. And this is a result. And this is why. This is just in showcasing your own expertise. This is why this worked for them, because this product has blah, blah, blah. You don't have to go way deep into the things that they probably wouldn't understand, but you do want to highlight some of the features of the product so that one, it showcases what you're talking about, like you are the expert, and they can't wait to get their hands on it because look what just happened for this person. They got amazing results and you've been able to share. Now, that said, you probably have a multitude of products that you could do that for. And then once you do that, see, that's where bots come back into play, because people are going to want to, they'll ask those stories about, like, they'll ask for information on certain things like a product. And if you can like tell a story in response to a question of how does this work? How does this stuff work? Well, here's a story and this is why it worked. So you're answering it, but you're also showcasing an example while you're answering the question. Yeah. And then once you've done those one time, you just keep making them work for you.
That's it. That's great advice. Valerie wants to know, it's kind of a loaded question. What do you do to encourage that people actually open their emails? And oh my gosh, it's like trial and error with a subject line to get them to encourage people to open the emails. What's your take, Kim?
It's a science. It really is a science. I've owned an online business for over 28 years now. And so I've been around a long time, and it takes a lot to get me to click or open or whatever. So just for me personally, every time I see a subject line that I want to click on or I want to open, I like write it down. I have a running list of subject lines because I feel like I'll just speak for myself. My ideal client's a previous version of me, because I'm like, I can so help them get, do XYZ because I've been there, And so my gauge for when I when I try to craft my own subject lines is, would I open that? Would I pay attention to that? And usually that works for me, not 100%, obviously, because I can't say I have 100% open rate for sure. But I do think that really helps me when I can you take a look at something, or if I see something. So anything that attracts my eye, I usually just grab it and pop it into an Evernote. I use Evernote, so I just keep a running list of things. And then sometimes it's word strings. Like I'll go back and I'll say, oh, I like that one. But it doesn't make any sense in my space. So I have to change the words out. Another really great tip for you is just to go to industry publications that you love, because they have great headlines already. And then just change them out. Like I'll just use Cosmo for an example. They pay thousands of dollars a month or a day or a year or whatever to hire copywriters to craft their their headlines, right? Just take those and shift them, to whatever your email's about. And that has really served me well too.
That's great. A great tip. So yeah, to even sign up for some of those that are beauty industry related and just kind of find out what they're sending out.
You don't even have to do that.
You don't?
So go to the Google machine, and that's Google, by the way, because sometimes people say, well, what's the Google machine? But it's just Google. I call it Google machine. Just go there and type in whatever publication you're looking for and say like Cosmo cover, for example. And then click on images, and all of the covers for that magazine will pop up for years. And then just take a look at some of the covers. I mean, you don't have to deep dive into the magazines or even subscribe to them. Just use the Google machine for some basic research.
I think that's great too. And what is today? What is a great open rate these days?
Well, I think that depends, but I think usually when you first get started, your open rate is going to be higher. So let's say, for example, you have 100 people on your list, and especially when you first get started and you are actively engaging with those people frequently, then your open rate could be 80% or more. I mean, it literally can be that high. But as your list grows and people, fall by the wayside or whatever, it really is going to be dependent upon how engaged you stay within that community and the community that you're trying to build. I've seen my open rates go from really high to what I would call kind of like on the lower end of the scale now, simply because of the fact that people have been on my list for years. And, very similar to what I shared earlier, where, it takes a lot to get them to open it. That's kind of where a lot of people fall from a marketing perspective, is you really have to have a great headline. I would say the average is probably 8 to 10% if your list has been around for a bit. And that's kind of where, it's some you have some, I'll just mention digital marketer as a quick example, because, they have a massive list. But a lot of people, they send so many emails that, again, you got to have a really great headline before somebody opens it. And I think their open rates are, 2 to 3%. So, but 2 to 3% of, 1.5 million people, it's all relative is my point. It's not about the numbers. It's about how connected those people are to you and the value that you're bringing to them. And are they, whether it's, education, whether it's, coupons, whether it's, video tutorials, whatever it is, you really have to lead with I call it serve, don't sell, and serve, don't sell. And the selling will happen, or the buying will happen.
Yeah, that's it too. And we don't want to just get them to open it. We want them to click through and do something with it. So what is the final objective of that email? What are you trying to get your potential client to do or client to do?
And
So,
I would say, honestly, like anybody that I know that is doing really well, leveraging the power of social media, the one thing they all have in common is this one thing. And it goes back to authenticity. It really is showing up and just being real from a holistic standpoint. What I mean by that is they share life. They share their struggles. They share their successes. They share like crazy, ridiculous stuff. They just show up in a real way, just like you would just talk to each other in real life. That's how they show up. And if you can do that, game over. I mean,
yeah.
seriously, I don't know anybody that is really doing super well in the social media space who doesn't have that one thing that they're doing uber well. It could be like you take Gary Vaynerchuk, for example, right? For whatever, I mean, whether you love his language or you don't, because he's very colorful, but he's super real and he makes no apologies for it. And so, you have somebody on that end of the spectrum to, I mean, literally anybody that is doing well.
Simon Sinek, he's got a different, message and his
realness. Relatability. That's what I call it. It's, it's humanness. I mean, that's really at the end of the day, it's just being really, really human and vulnerable and, open to sharing your life with people.
It's so true. And, don't feel like you have to share like every overshare. Because sometimes I think like oversharing, like sometimes people are using oversharing as a marketing strategy and you can tell when it's not real. Do you know what I mean by that, Kim?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Forced and just seems really like how much trouble was that to create?
Yeah. And also don't, we lost you for a second. Make sure stay within what's comfortable for you. Just share what everyone has different levels of that. So just share what you feel like sharing.
Yeah. Going back to Gary Vaynerchuk real quick, because he's a perfect example of this. He never shares his family, nothing. He's got two littles and they've never does he. It's sometimes he'll share like the backside, like they're walking down the street. I have seen that before, but the way he feels is that's their decision. When they are old enough to make the call that he can share them, then he will. But he doesn't share his family, his wife, none of that. It's really about just showing up and connecting and serving a community for him. And then he's all about sharing that. He's totally okay, but his personal life outside of how he shows up on a personal level is totally off limits.
Yeah. And you got to work with him pretty closely for a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, he spoke at my first event. So yeah, I think a lot of Gary, and it was kind of funny because his language is a little, probably not as for my community, it would be a little off-putting probably. So, he told me when he came, he's like, I will try not to use a lot of language. And I'm like, that's all I can ask, but at the end of the day, just be yourself.
Yeah.
I think he only used one F word. I think, yes.
That's impressive, actually.
Yes.
Because it's usually like 3 in a sentence, but that's his branding. And we have people in our community that resonate with him and love him too. And so, and that's his branding.
Absolutely. And like I say, and the moral to that, and my point across the board is that just be who you are and show up like that versus, when I first started in the social media space, I really struggled with that. I was like, what do I say? Like, getting on social media, like, do I feel like I should like Google this. Do I need to know what let me check this out. I struggle to find my voice when technically we have it already. We just don't know how to, it's a different format. And being okay with showing up as just who you are and realizing that how you talk and how you share is just like you would talk and share if somebody was standing right in front of you. And that was a big eye opener for me. Once I realized that, visualizing the one person that I want to talk to when I get ready to share something on social media, and talking to that person, just like, how would I say it if I was just talking to them? Boom. Conversation. It was just super clear at that point. Is how would I show up? How did I share? It's just, how would I say it and say it, not stress over it.
That's right. That's right. I can't even believe we've been like, you talk about video and like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. And like, oh, and I say like, do a quick 10-minute video. They're like 10 minutes. And here we are. It's almost an hour that we've been sharing on live stream for you. And I wanted to see if there's any final questions for Kim. Want to be really respectful of her time. And I just thank you so much for giving your time today.
Well, I am passionate about this stuff. I love sharing, and I'm appreciative that I got an opportunity to share.
Yeah. So if there's any final questions, I know there's a major lag going on with Facebook. So we'll see if any of those populate through really quick, and just talk about the summit for 2 seconds while we're waiting for some questions, and say, I'm just so thankful that you are our featured speaker for this year's Beauty Business Summit happening October 6th and 7th in St. Pete Beach. We had our inaugural event in Hawaii. It was wonderful. We have all the speakers, and just I'm just thrilled that you want to be a part of this and this mission, just to pay it forward and gift $10,000 to a beauty school, which we'll be doing. So you'll get to be part of that process with us.
Yeah, that's going to be super fun.
It'll be super fun. So I don't see any other questions coming through right now. So I want to thank you so much for your time, Kim.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if there is questions and you're watching the replay, just go ahead and pop your questions in the comment section. Anyway, maybe Kim might mosey on over or might tag her, and we'll see if we can't get some answers to your questions if you're watching the replay. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, everyone.